Jeez. Okay. I'm gonna hope and pray that we're good. Hello, how you guys doing? Getting started here with a lesson. Just doing a quick check right now. Everything seems to be okay. So we're gonna go ahead and try to see if we can make this work. Yeah, what's up, man?
All right, you back?
Yeah, we back. We are getting started with the lesson. So
Okay.
this is my boy Adrian, otherwise known as Reading Rainbow. His feature
Yes.
tag in the competitive scene.
Let's not hype it up too much, right? Yeah.
Yeah, not too much, but
We gotta manage expectations. Otherwise, when I go start making JV5s on everybody at the next tournament, they're
yeah,
gonna be like,
everyone's
"Oh my
gonna see it
god, I
coming,
didn't
dude. We
expect
can't
this."
have that
Yeah.
happen.
Exactly. Exactly. So, do you want me to hop online then?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, let's go ahead and get this started. Okay, so while we're getting all set up for this lesson, there's a couple things that I wanted to ask you, man.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the questions that I post, which I'm gonna go ahead and link the notes here real quick so that everyone can follow along with the lesson and see the things that I already have written down. Posted there in the chat. I'm gonna send it to you as well.
No problem.
Okay, so the first question that I wanted to ask was when I ask people their skill level, it's not just so that I can get a good grasp of where you are right now, but it's also that I wanna understand how good you think you are.
Okay.
So why did you say what you said was the 44 out of 100 intermediate?
Well, I um I play the game quite a bit, and then I go to different kind of casual events, and I'm typically one of the best or top three people there. And there are people there that go to tournaments, and they also place in like the top five regularly. So based off of that, um, it's been a while since I've been to a tournament, to be honest with you. But the last time I did go, I made it to, I think, top 16, something like that. I wasn't entirely sure,
Gotcha,
but
gotcha.
it wasn't spectacular. It wasn't spectacular. And so, but then that was much, much better than the last few times that I'd ever gone, in which I didn't even make it out of pools or I was eliminated in the first round. And so I feel like my skills have improved. But then at the same time, I don't have any tournament experience. I don't have that much anyway, and that's kind of where it really counts. I feel like, especially in those clutch moments when I have to make a decision that really matters, I'm not able to do that right now, and so that's probably why I'm not better than intermediate. I'm pretty good against somebody who is not necessarily tournament ready either, so I'm not terrible, but I'm definitely not where I should be. Does that
Okay.
make sense? Yeah.
Well, I can tell you, the way that I think of different ranks right there is like,
Hmm.
so obviously you have your beginners that don't play the game much at all. They struggle with controls. You have
Right.
your intermediate level. You have your journeyman players, which understand the way the game is played, but aren't like super solid in certain things. Maybe they will almost never perform like super well. They will almost never break out. Your intermediate level players who are generally performing. Oh, okay, we got a sub. Oh boy, yo! Thank you so much, Coach Bash, doing it once again. You beautiful bastard.
That I should too. Should I?
Hey
Celebration is
man,
gonna be that epic every single time you got a sub.
yo, have you seen the sub animation?
I haven't actually. Now I'm really curious, and you're
Yeah.
really hyping it up, so
Well,
I'm definitely
there's
looking
some
forward to it.
incentive.
Yeah.
Yo, what's up, Nico? How you doing? What's up, German? Welcome to the stream. And of course, you beautiful bastard, Coach Bash. ¿Cómo estás? Aquí estamos, tú sabes.
Ya tú
Estamos
sabes.
haciendo
Aquí en la lucha.
stream en la lucha.
Hmm.
Siempre. Oh my god. No, I've been getting with the holiday season coming in, they've been working me to death. La lucha is real.
La lucha is real. I'm surprised you have today off.
Yeah, this is the only day I have off.
Oof. Well, I really appreciate you making the sacrifice.
No worries. Okay, so that's what I was saying. Intermediate would be
Mm-hmm.
more along for people who are rather solid in their play and have
Mm-hmm.
the occasional breakout tournament experience. Um, Semi-pro would be people like around my level who consistently perform extremely well, but are choked under that glass ceiling. And then
Mm-hmm.
the pro would be above the glass ceiling. But yeah,
It's kind of how I interpreted it too. But yes, that
okay,
sounds about right then.
all right. So let me see what else. Attack accuracy. You're like when you throw out an attack, it connects.
Right.
Okay, that's pretty understandable. um,
It'd be
performance
shitty if the attacks didn't connect. That would just be then you're really in like
yeah, like you're
the
getting
sewer
baited
of
a
the
lot.
beginning stages. Yeah,
No, because
basically.
there's the reason I asked because there's so many reasons why an attack can miss. It
Right.
could be that you're misspacing the attack. It could be that you're getting baited by your opponent. Things like that. So,
Mm-hmm.
what generally it's just when you throw out the attack and you don't get baited much, you don't fall for baits much, you space properly, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I try to keep awareness of what the other person is doing and also kind of the way that they're setting me up. And so, I don't necessarily try to go for something that's the low hanging fruit.
Okay,
And I say there has to be more to it than that. And so I don't usually put out a hit or an attack
unless you're sure it's gonna connect.
unless I'm sure it's going to connect. But it's also because I specifically put together a plan and executed it well.
Okay,
And then I know, okay, this attack is going to connect because everything is going according to plan. Now, obviously, there are some brilliant players out there who have plans to counter my plans, and then those attacks don't connect. But against people who usually have, and I've heard you talk about this before, the style where they don't really have a strategy. They just go out and, attack
they press the
and
buttons.
and press the buttons, and then hey, something connects every once in a while. But they usually are able to get by because they're just very quick, and um, they're also very aware. But they don't necessarily go for hard reads. They don't play characters that play that kind of a style, and so I play a character that is all about read, and that's just the style I prefer to play.
Okay. All right, sounds good. That was actually very insightful. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started.
Okay.
What we're gonna start with is before anything else, I want to do a few one stock matches with you. I'm gonna set it on infinite time. We're going to play out a stock, and then I'm going to see how you play in each of those stocks, and take some notes on that, and then we'll be able to move forward from there.
Sounds like a plan.
So go ahead and get in game when you're ready, and we'll do the thing.
Okay. Are you picking the stage?
I picked Battlefield, but honestly, any legal stage is fine.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks for the host, German. Much appreciated. Okay. Well, this is a 3-stock match, but
Well, do you want to change it?
yeah, let's do it. Actually, yeah, better plan. Let's go to Smashville,
Okay.
And let's set it to infinite time.
Okay.
No stocks.
But you are the one adjusting those settings because it's
Yeah,
your
I'm
routing.
bad.
Right?
I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. I just just want to make sure.
I think it's yeah. No, that is how it works. I'm bad. I was too focused on everything else. The mic check, the settings, yeah.
I understand. These things can be complicated. So, and you said we're going to Smashville?
Yeah.
Okay.
I picked Battlefield, but then I realized, you know what, maybe not the best stage for me to play Mario on if we're going for an even match.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go. We're fighting right now, whenever you're ready.
Yes.
Just in case you thought I was just moving around.
The connection is pretty bad, but I don't know why, but
This
Are
actually isn't
you-
that bad,
oh,
at least from what I'm feeling. Like, try tap a button to see the time that it takes. It's pretty close to instant.
yeah, It's just I'm seeing a lot of dropped frames.
Yeah, the drop
On my
frames
end?
are
Yeah.
or something. It's a little choppy, but it's not that bad. We're gonna have to deal with it either way. It's the nature of Wi-Fi, unfortunately. I'm upset. Okay, let's try that one more time.
Okay.
The interruption at the middle of the match kind of threw everything off. All right, let's go.
Okay.
All right, we take those. Okay.
No
Let me just take some quick notes real quick.
problem.
Let's see, last note. Okay.
Right.
Go ahead and reset your percent.
Reset my percent.
Like, just SD real quick.
Oh. Wow. That was a noob moment. Okay.
No worries, no
All
worries.
right. Are we ready to go?
Yeah. Let's go. take some quick notes here.
No problem.
Okay, one more.
Great. Okay.
Let's go. I'm gonna go into a little more detail once we go through a few of these. Okay. Okay, one last one, and then we'll start going into detail on everything.
Sure, no problem.
All right, let's go.
Okay. All right.
Okay. All right. So, so you understand what was going on throughout the 4 different stocks, right? Maybe you noticed something about the way that I was playing.
No, go ahead and explain it to me.
Okay, so every single stock that we played, I played in a different style, a different way of playing. The first stock that we played, I played passively.
Mhm.
I essentially stayed back and tried to play almost entirely reactively, walling you out maybe more sometimes, but in regards to your approaches. When I played passively at first, you were a little hesitant on your approaches. You were moving around a lot, but then once you felt a little more comfortable, you came in with a reckless approach option and often got punished for it. However, once you got the approach, once you were able to win neutral, you were able to make some good work with it. The only issue was when you overextended and off stage, which we're going to talk about that in a moment. The second one, I was playing bait and punish. I was specifically trying to test your claim that you don't go for low-hanging fruit by bombarding you with low-hanging fruit. And it took you a moment to catch on.
Uh-huh.
I was able to weave in and out of your attacks and give you some really hard hits at first, with some stupid hard punishes at first. But eventually you caught on. You started playing a little more safe, such as like spacing out with jabs, though unfortunately a little too late. But
Hmm.
you delayed your timings and you were able to catch on to the baits, so you weren't getting 100% copy those.
Okay.
The third one was Rushdown. I just went full on in and pressed buttons and tried to get the most reward as possible. And at first, you completely fell apart.
Hmm.
Like I got in and you weren't able to keep me out.
Uh-huh.
Um, once once things started seeming bleak, that's when you started playing a little more reserved. That's when you started playing back, trying to space with jabs and things like that. But unfortunately, like once you seemed to see an opportunity, you took a reckless approach and got killed for it.
Mm.
And the fourth one, I was just going all out. That was just the way I would normally play as Mario, trying to see how you play and adapt to it. So I was switching up playstyles throughout the whole time, and for the most part, regardless of how I played, you seem to play the same.
Got it. Okay.
Which kind of goes into this, like weren't noticing the different the way that I was switching it up between the games. So I guess that kind of falls into it. So let me see. One thing that I really wanted to touch on was the
Hmm.
fact that you seem to be rather reckless when it comes to offstage play, offstage and ledge trapping game, which I guess kind of goes into the whole positional thing
Hmm.
that was going to be the focus of the lesson. So this is a good way to go into it.
Okay.
So I feel like on stage you have a pretty good grasp of neutral and like what it means to be in an advantage or disadvantage.
Okay.
Um, but just in case, let's talk about that a little bit.
Okay.
Um, let's see, how can we start? So when we're playing here in neutral, um, actually, what? Tell me a little bit. What do you think constitutes the difference between the different phases of battle, neutral, advantage, and disadvantage?
And neutral, both players have stage control. And advantage, the I would have stage control, and disadvantage, you would have stage control.
Well, it's not necessarily just about stage control. Stage
Uh
control
huh.
is just one part of the equation. There's another part which
Okay.
is there's positional advantage, which is stage control,
Hmm.
and there's frame advantage, which is the ability to attack before your opponent can.
Okay.
And this could be affected by many different things. Like my character has better frame data than yours, so I have a frame advantage against you. But it depends on the position that we're in. So, for example, you might have the ability, like let's say you're facing away and you're jumping.
Hmm.
Your back air is a huge threat to me in that position, and I can't really do anything to contest you while I'm facing you. So in
Right.
that position, you might have frame advantage. It's different depending on your actions. The whatever you can do before your opponent can react changes. You have like this zone around you, which kind of determines that, and that zone also determines the area of the stage that you control.
Okay.
It's essentially like imagine a bubble that's around you, which is the area that you can attack before your opponent can react. It's like an
Right.
area that you are actively threatening just by standing there or moving there, just by being there. I don't like when I'm over here, I don't feel uncomfortable. There's nothing you could really
Hmm.
do before I can react. But if I'm over here, now I'm uncomfortable.
Right.
You could do so many things to me and I would never be able to see it coming. And the same thing applies to you. You feel uncomfortable. Especially since my frame data is better than yours in close quarters.
Right.
So the whole concept of stage control and spacing and things like that revolves around us playing around these bubbles. So stage control, if no, the area around my bubble is in my control. The area
Hmm.
in your bubble is in your control. Where our
Okay.
bubbles meet is contested territory.
Okay.
So
I understand that.
when we're both in each other's faces, you know that's what's happening. But there's also like the area of the stage that you don't control that you're denying to your opponent, which is the area of the stage behind you. That's what most people think of when they think of stage control. But like
Okay.
in reality, you don't really control the space behind you because, for example, I can jump over you and now I'm there.
Right.
but you are denying me from getting there because your bubble is blocking my way. If I jump, you can jump.
Right. But my bubble wouldn't include all of the different areas that you would jump to that I could easily punish.
It would include the areas that you can punish without me being able to react. Because that's what it all comes down to. It's the space you can cover before I can react, which is about 19 frames offline without lag. 19 frames.
Okay.
So, like, you can jump and throw a forward air. At the range of you jump doing a full hop rising forward air would be like your bubble.
Okay.
So, moving on from that, so this balance of frame advantage and positional advantage, what it does is it changes the options that are available to you. And this is what really determines neutral advantage and disadvantage. It's how many options you have. How many unique choices you can make. And when you're in neutral, you can do anything you want. And it'll be a good choice. Well, not a good choice, but it'll be a choice that isn't necessarily a bad one, you know? Like, I could taunt over here, and there's not much you can do about it.
Right.
If I was closer to you, taunting would be a terrible idea because I now have no frame advantage at all.
Right.
I just gave it all up, and now you can forward smash me if you want. But over here, there's not much you can do about it.
Right.
So, essentially, when I'm on the ground, I can move forward, I can move back without being threatened by you. Because once I'm threatened by you, my actions are no longer my own. There's an interaction between me and my opponent. I have to add you to the equation because, like, I might walk forward, but then you might jab. I might run and shield, but then you might grab. You know, things like that. I got to consider what you're going to do. But over here, I don't have to consider that. So, things change a little bit when you're at disadvantage. Because everything you do, you have to consider what your opponent might do. And everything you do, you have to consider what you have to do to not die. So, for example, when I'm in the air, I have none of my grounded options. I have my 5 aerial attacks, I have my special moves, I have air dodge, and I have the ability to do nothing. That's all I can really do. I can drift as well. I can double jump. Those are all my options. Once I lose my double jump, then I no longer have double jump. Once I use my up B, now I have no options except drifting.
Right.
And each one of these puts me further in disadvantage because I have less available things to do. The same thing applies off stage. If I'm over here, I have to double jump and I have to up B. And if I don't do either of those, I die.
Mm-hmm.
And it has to be in that order. I can't just up B over here.
Right.
So that's what I mean by your options are limited. Because if I take any other option, I'm dead.
Right. Okay. So that would be you at the disadvantage when you're giving up options. And then...
Or when my options are restricted, yeah.
When your options are restricted, but then that goes to say that when your options are restricted and I have all of my options available, I'm at the advantage, correct?
Yes, exactly. When one person is in disadvantage, the other person is in advantage.
Okay.
Almost by default. Unless you're on the opposite side of this. Like, if you're over here and you're, like, taking a sip of your beer and I'm over here trying to recover, then, I mean, this is pretty much neutral. Even like I have almost no options, but you're not threatening me at all, so you're completely giving up your advantage. It's not that you didn't have advantage, that you gave it up.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Got it. I understand that.
Okay. So, moving on from that, I feel like...
Just briefly before we move on. So you're implying that there were a lot of times where I willingly gave up advantage or willingly gave up options and I didn't need to do that, and then allowed you to have advantage. Is that what you're saying?
Sort of. Not entirely. I was getting to it. So it's not so much that you willingly gave up this. It's not that you gave up disadvantage in that sense. It's not like you ran away and reset to neutral. because
Mm-hmm.
that's a safe option, but it's a non-opportunistic option that just completely resets the situation.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what you did. What you did was something that is arguably worse,
Okay. Which is?
which is you took a huge risk by putting your, instead of giving up advantage, you put yourself in disadvantage.
Okay.
So essentially, you didn't reset to neutral. You traded places with me. Like for example, you threw me off stage,
Mm-hmm.
and then you went for the edge guard, like going out with a runoff forward air, and then I back aired you, and you died.
Right.
That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. Because like if
Right.
you like, especially with you priding yourself on your accuracy, when you're in that
Mm-hmm.
position, you need to make sure that your attack connects. And the way that
Mm-hmm.
you best make sure your attack connects is by stripping away your opponent's options to the point that the options they choose become obvious. Because that's where the real strengths of advantage and disadvantage lie. When your opponent's at disadvantage, they have less things that they could do, meaning they are easier to read and cover. Like
Okay.
if I'm coming towards you and I can only land doing nothing, air dodge, or attack, every single one of those things loses to you holding shield and then acting out a shield.
Right.
That's so you can very easily cover those things, every single one of those things, by just holding shield. Except like if I space myself slightly differently, like without doing anything, and then you could cover that by intercepting me in the air. Like there's a very limited number of things that I can do in that situation, and that's what makes the advantage so powerful. That's where reads happen. That's where hard reads happen. And the issue was what you were doing, running off the stage and going with the forward air. I'm not saying don't run off the stage and forward air.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying you need to do so at a time when the opponent can't do anything about it.
Right.
You need to condition them to get hit by it, or you need to do so at a time where the opponent can't do anything about it, or you need to do so at a time where doing so isn't a risk.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, if you're at 60% and you go all the way out here trying to get the forward air, then a single tap from the opponent and you're dead.
Right.
Especially if you used your double jump. Um, but if you're at lower percent and you're not going that far out, you're just like doing like a quick sweep. You should be able to easily make it back before the opponent can make it back. And even if they
Right.
have to avoid you, even if they end up air dodging, you're going to grab ledge before they do. If you're in
Right.
that position where you can grab ledge before they can do, where you can make it back to stage before they do, then it's a safe
Mm-hmm.
option. That's where it comes in to risk versus reward.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so every decision that you make,
Mm-hmm.
there's three things that you need to consider before making that decision. Not necessarily like on the spot, ideally on the spot, but this is more of an analysis tool. So
Okay.
every decision that you make has an element of risk, of reward, and a chance of success. And it's not like you're like rolling a die or a random number generator to see if it works. No, chance of
Mm-hmm.
success depends on so many different things. It depends on what your opponent has done, what they will do, what character they're playing, what character you're playing, what the situation is, how the board has been set, how have you conditioned them, things like that. There's so many things that goes into it. It's not so
Mm-hmm.
much a straight chance, but something that is more likely to succeed is more likely to succeed for good reason. So, for example, let's say the chance of success of you hitting me with a fully charged neutral beam is not so high in
Very
neutral.
low. Very,
Yeah.
very low. Yeah. Uh-huh.
So maybe not the ideal option because I'm almost always going to hit you before it goes off, or I'm always going to avoid it. I'm always going to switch the timing up so I don't get hit by it, things like that.
Sure.
Um, so risk is what could happen if it goes wrong. Like, let's say, for example, I do. Well, let's talk about the ending of the last match that we played, or one of the
Okay.
last matches that we played, where I was on ledge and then you did neutral B, and I did. I don't think it was the last match we played, but I think it was.
So maybe like the second to last
Yeah, I held shield,
one.
and
Hmm.
then you attacked me, and then I grabbed you and backthrowed, and you died.
Right.
So in that situation, you you threw out an option that normally wouldn't be very high risk. You did a
Hmm.
neutral beat. I think it was actually the second match that we played,
Hmm.
not the third one, but like the second one, the
Yeah, yeah.
second series. That's the first one we did a do over. Anyways, I did neutral get up, and then I blocked your attack. I grabbed you and I backthrowed. So
Right.
the risk of failing that neutral beat that you did was death.
Right. 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 So there was no reason to choose that option.
Well, not necessarily no reason. It's you were gauging the risk versus reward versus chance of success. There was probably another option that would have been just as effective that you wouldn't have died for picking. So maybe another
Sure.
option would have been better. But there was definitely a reason you went for it. Like you thought that if you hit me with a neutral B, I would have died. I was like at 110% myself. You were at 130. But if that
Right.
neutral B connected, I was probably dead. So
Right.
at that point, you turn the match into a coin flip. Either I hit him or I die. And maybe that's not necessarily the best risk to take if you don't
Mm.
want to die. There could have been something else. Like, for example, if you had prepared a back air and the
Mm.
instant I neutral get up, you could have tried to throw out the back air. Now, I'm only vulnerable for like a single frame, so maybe it wasn't going to work very effectively,
Mm.
but it could have worked, and if it failed, you weren't going to die. So it would have a
Right.
lower chance of success, but a much better risk reward. And
Right.
these are things that you, or if you threw out a lingering forward air, like you just did, like gauging my neutral get up or trying to catch my get up option, my jump, whatever, you just threw out a forward air. If it connected, I'm dead. I'm at 110, you have rage.
Right.
And it stays out for a little while. Like your forward air is kind of slow. Not that slow, but it stays out for a little while.
Yeah.
So it's got a higher chance of success, and it
Mhm.
still has a very good risk reward. Like you're not going to die because I can't grab you. I can't grab a spaced forward air.
Right.
So that would have been a much better decision still. This is the kind of thing that you can consider when you're in those situations. It's like maybe the decision that I made wasn't the best one, so what can I do instead? And that's it's a powerful analysis tool, and it's a powerful tool that you can utilize if you're in the middle of the match. Just
Right.
don't think too much, or else you'll lose your chances.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's one of the things I got to work on. It's like how do I analyze and still be fully aware and ready to react at the same time.
Hmm. And honestly, that's a lot of what goes into gauging risk versus reward. So you said that you don't like to throw out attacks unless you're sure that it's going to connect.
Well, I'm
And
eating my quite a bit during this lesson. So yes, I did say that, but now I feel like I'm gonna regret having said that.
this is why I ask people. Like a lot of people, this is spoilers for people who are interested in lessons in the
Yeah.
future. The reason that I ask people for what they believe their strengths and weaknesses are isn't to get an idea for their strengths and weaknesses. It's where they feel more comfortable, where they pride themselves the most on, and what they tend to utilize the most. And that's often the biggest weaknesses I understand from the opponent are from asking them their strengths.
Right.
Because at that point, like they've limited their perspective towards thinking of this specific thing, and maybe they're neglecting what else there might be. And it's often just a sign of so many other things. So here, what I was going to say, um, when you said that you don't go for low hanging fruit, that you only attack when you're sure that an attack's going to connect. It's good to be hesitant to press your buttons. Like
Hmm.
pressing nothing is a powerful tool because it'll make it so opportunities are available for you later on. Like if
Of
you act
course.
too soon with the low hanging fruit, you're not going to be able to get the big one when it comes out because you'll be too busy grabbing the lower one.
Right.
Um, But what you seem to have is the opposite problem, where you think too much about the opportunities that are presented to you, and you miss the easy rewards.
Mm.
And in the end, the opponent is getting easy rewards, and you're falling behind bit for bit. Because even if you
Hmm.
get some harder punishes here and there, you're not getting the easy stuff. And if you're not getting the easy stuff, then
Yeah, I can't make it work on. That's for sure.
exactly.
So yeah.
So, uh, an example, no, that kind of thing would be like a lot of if you're only going for the low risk, high reward stuff, or for the high reward stuff in general, then you're going to miss a lot of the low reward stuff, that are also low risk, that are extremely easy to get. Like for example, an opponent lands on you with a neutral air. That's a very
Right.
easy shield grab.
Right.
And maybe if you're a little too hesitant, maybe you'll be spacing backwards, like take a step back and wait to see what they do because you're not entirely sure what they do. Well, I mean, they overcommitted. They're jumping to you and they're flying straight towards you. You can generally guess where they're going to go. And even if that's not where they're going to go, you can generally get a good amount of reward by just throwing something out that's safe. Like for example, you could shield, and that's pretty
Hmm.
safe. You can grab, that's pretty safe. Alternatively, you can go for an intercept. You can like jump up and hit them out of the air. And maybe you're not going to hit them, but if you position yourself right when you're going for that, then you might be able to get a good amount of reward. An example of that is like, for example, when I'm playing here as Mario,
Hmm.
and I see you jumping a lot, short hopping a lot. A lot of sorties love to do this. So they short hop a lot in neutral, and I'm seeing that, and I just throw out a back air. And honestly, if I connect with the backer, what's the most that I'm going to get? Something like just pushing someone off, and who cares?
Right.
But that pushing someone off just gave me advantage. Even if it wasn't a
Right.
big hit right there, you're now at the ledge.
Right.
And oftentimes I can get someone with this in neutral, so I can just carry someone off with advancing backers. And it seems ignorant, like I'm just throwing out the attack, but I could get a stock from this.
Right.
And it was ridiculously low risk because try blocking that. What happens if you block that?
Block.
Block the back. Like I got hit twice,
Right.
and then I could try it again, and maybe I'll get hit again,
Right.
and then from that I'm gaining the information. You're playing passively, so I'm not going to do that anymore. And
Right.
I got that information for only taking like what 30-40%,
Right.
and maybe it wasn't the best exchange, but I got something. And if I hit you, then potentially I could get a stock or get advantage and then trap you at ledge and get around the same or more percent. And you wouldn't be able to gain much information besides the fact that this
Right.
man's playing Ignite.
Right. Right. I get that. Yes.
Sometimes it's good to press buttons. It's just a matter of knowing when. So something that goes into that. Uh, okay, just to make it some quick notes here so I know what to write about later. Okay, so let's see. We talked about playing Ignite. Okay, let's talk about respecting your opponent. I feel
Okay.
like that might go a little bit into what's what's going on with this. I do want to double back and go on the focus of the lesson, but this just seems like such a good tangent here. I'm sorry.
Sure. 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 Sure.
Um.
Respecting the opponent.
Okay, so it's when you're not sure what the opponent's going to do. It's a lot of people generally give the opponent respect, which is a good thing to do. It's like the safe option when you're not entirely sure of what path the opponent's going to take. It's good to take a step back and really look at what they do. When I go all out, that's what I do a lot. I start the match, try to pressure the opponent with some safe tools, and just try to see what kind of opponent they are.
Right.
But one thing that a trap that a lot of poor patient players tend to fall into, yourself included, I think, is why I'm bringing it
Mm-hmm.
up, is that they tend to give certain opponents too much respect. And in doing so, they will wait for punish opportunities. They wait to see what their opponent's going to do. They try to outplay their opponent. And sometimes you really don't need to outplay your opponent to win. Like, it doesn't matter
Okay.
who you're fighting. You could be fighting Falco Master 27, or you could be fighting Zero, or you could be fighting me. And there's going to be times where you don't need to respect the opponent. It could be half the time if you're fighting Falco Master 17. It could be like a single moment when you're fighting Zero. It could be like a decent amount. It depends on the match. It depends on the way your opponent is playing. It does not depend on your opponent. So,
Right.
for example, me doing this, like, if I'm just rushing you down repeatedly, not caring who you are, and eventually getting reward, it's like, eventually I'm going to get this reward. And maybe it's not going to be most things, but like right now I'm overwhelming you. I got a lot of percent for nothing, and I'm just smacking you repeatedly. In your mind, you're probably thinking, how is he getting away with all this stuff? He's just doing
Well,
it.
you're reading all my. So.
I'm not even reading your options. I'm just pressing buttons.
I think you give yourself credit. You're doing a little bit more thinking that maybe now is more muscle memory than anything else, but
I mean, maybe muscle
for
memory,
the
but
average
honestly, it's Mario privilege. Is what it is. I'm not reading you. I'm
Mario
covering you.
privilege.
I'm running up to you, pressing back airs, and then just comboing. Like, this is a brainless combo.
Well, yeah. But like, you have to know that combo is there. You have to be a Mario player to understand that, because it's not like everybody has that ability. If I start doing nothing but back airs towards you,
Well, yeah, you have to
it's-
be an Ike player to overwhelm your opponent with Ike things. It's not so much about doing nothing but Mario players, nothing but back airs. It's about just pressing buttons to overwhelm your opponent as if they're a four glory scrub, because sometimes that's all they're playing like. Sometimes you could treat your opponent like a CPU, and you can get away with it. Like right there, you got away with it. You got a kill for it.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. And sometimes,
Right.
sometimes you realize a good cue for this is when you're just getting smacked by your opponent, and you start feeling like there's no thought behind their actions. Like, they're just doing it, and it's working. What is happening? And then you realize, wait, if they're playing like that, I really don't have to respect them. Just, if they're being one track, you can be one track too and get away with it. It just depends if your track beats theirs. So, for example, if I'm rushing you down and pressing buttons, put yourself in a position where you can react to what I do, and then smack me. Just smack me. Just hit them. And then once they start falling into that one track play of, I'm just going to go forward and press buttons, you have a sword. Your buttons are bigger than mine. Use them. You know?
Right. It's slower too.
Slower, which is why you put space. Yeah. And that's why it's important. Like, it's good to not press buttons when you're waiting for an opportunity, but if your opportunities are all over the place, then press all the buttons.
Yes, I understand what you're saying. Now, in the situations in which I have to respect my opponent, I mean, what would you say would be a situation in which I would? Because these are situations in which I don't. And then there are going to be obviously situations in which the player actually knows what they're doing. And that's when I really have to...
Yeah. Well, it's not so much about if the player knows what you're doing. It's about if the player is playing like they know what they're doing. It could be any player in the world. It could be the best players in the world. They could fall to ignorance as well. They could fall to this kind of thing as well. Because if they're expecting one thing from you, and they're just... Or if they're not even thinking about the way you're playing, they're just turning it into a single-player game, and then suddenly you're playing against them, they have to adapt their strategy.
Right.
And if you don't make them adapt their strategy, they won't have to adapt their strategy. It's that simple. So, what this is just punish them for playing one track. Now, there are going to be times that you're fighting an adaptive opponent. And it's in that situation where you need to take a step back and really see what they're doing. You have to slow down and put the match back into your corner. If someone is playing adaptively, the last stock that we played, I was playing adaptively. I was not playing that one track way. you generally want to look at the cues of what your opponent is doing and be able to step ahead of their game plan. Sometimes they're trying to condition you. Sometimes they're trying to bait you. Sometimes they're trying to wall you out. Sometimes they're trying to rush you down. And just based on what your opponent is doing in this situation, you need to play counter to their expectations.
Mm-hmm.
One major aspect of this is the ability to play in a way that your opponent doesn't expect. It's a way to break these expectations is to play bait and punish. Essentially, apply misdirection to your play. So, for example, let's say you are over here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm coming at you with a dash grab. This is a very basic example of what I'm talking about. By the way, how's it going, Mr. Pink? Happy late Thanksgiving. Thanks, man. It was how am I doing right now? I'm doing mighty peachy. I'm doing a lot better than I was in Thanksgiving. I'll tell you that much. Anyways.
Are you talking to Mr. Pink from Reservoir?
I'm not sure. It's the mighty Mr. Pink in the chat. I think it's the DDD player. I'm not. I don't know.
Anyway, I'm sure if he's listening, he'll get the reference. But anyway, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna come up to you and I'm gonna dash grab you. Okay. Mario coming from across the stage. He's gonna dash grab. Okay. So let's try that one more time. Mario gonna come up to you and he's gonna dash grab you. I'm not saying let it happen. The jab is fine. I'm just telling you what I'm doing in advance.
Okay.
So you know the expectation. Okay. And then Mario comes at you one more time, the third time for the dash grab. Try it one more time. The example that I usually use is for spot. Actually, yeah. Let's simplify this example a bit. I like where this that was going, but let's keep the example simple for now, so I don't lose track in the many different possibilities. Let's say you try to spot dodge the dash grab.
Okay.
So he comes in, you spot dodge, right?
Sure.
And then he comes in again, and you spot dodge. Or roll.
Oh,
okay, that's fine.
Or roll. Okay. Let's do it again.
And then he comes in.
Yes.
And there's the bait.
So
the example I love to use is doing it from across the stage, and then they try to spot dodge, and then they spot dodge early and they get grabbed, and then I ask him, so how stupid do you feel that you just got grabbed from across the stage?
Pretty damn stupid, yes. Yeah.
That's the beauty of it. So that's the power of a bait. And it's about testing your opponent's expectations and then punishing them for it. And here's the other beauty of it. Get to the other side of the stage. I want you to expect the bait, okay? And see what happens. Yeah.
Okay.
So I come over here. No, I mean with the spot dodge. Time to spot dodge for the bait.
Okay.
Because there's so many things that you could do, but we're trying to simplify it.
Sure. Okay.
So he comes in. Okay. You got it though. Try it one more time.
Yes. Wow, that's it. There's no way I can react out of the spot dodge quickly enough to actually.
Well, you definitely can, but it's the problem is that you're reacting to Mario coming up to you as if he's dash grabbing. What I'm asking you to do is react to the bait, which is right here. React to Mario turning around.
So I can't do it unless I have read that you're going to be or you're going to be grabbing me, or you're going to be baiting me. Excuse me.
Exactly. And at that point, if you try to react to the bait, and I just come up to you and dash grab, then yes, that's the magic of it. Because essentially, what I'm doing is instead of usually when you start an action, you can react to the point that they start. So if I start coming at you from here, you could react that I'm going for the dash grab, and you can spot dodge easily, assuming we're not on Wi-Fi.
Right.
But when it comes to the baits, things get a little different because at that point you can't. Instead of reacting to where I'm starting right here, you have to react to where I'm baiting right here. And it's
Mm-hmm.
impossible for you to react if I started from here with the dash grab.
Right.
Like, it's not happening. It's below frame 18. You're not reacting to that.
Got
It's
it. Okay.
significantly below frame 18. That's the magic of it. Instead of you're tricking their reaction time, forcing them to react to something that is unreactable. And suddenly everything becomes unreactable. That's one aspect that goes into it. But then like you can beat that out by like rushing down and just hitting them before they can react. But
Sure.
that's another story. That was just a little primer on misdirection and things like that. Before we run out of time, I do want to talk a little bit more about the positioning thing that you really wanted to focus on.
Sure.
Okay, so let's reset our percent real quick. So everything that we talked about pretty much does go into positioning, but I really want to bring it all together.
Okay.
So in different positions, in the different places that you're in, the different spots that you'll find yourself throughout the match, you'll have different options available to you. Your opponent will have different options available to them. And we briefly talked about this, but when your opponent is a disadvantage, their options are limited. They have a choice, a set of unique, like let's say there's like 5 things that they can do, and you could beat like 4 of them with one option. Like for example, I could land on you from off stage, and every single one of those options would lose to you holding shield, almost. Like there's some stuff that you could do, or I could go for ledge, and then that would lose to something else. But let's say, simplify situation. Let's say I'm landing on you. Here, if I'm deciding to land on you, almost everything that you can do at a shield, or rather, almost everything that I could do would lose to you doing something at a shield.
Sure.
Because like if I attack, if I air dodge, whatever, you're going to block it. You're going to grab, and then you're going to up throw or down throw forward air.
Sure.
By the way, Aaron, happy Saturday. Thank you very much. Looking forward to the lesson today. Should be a good time. And anything else that I do could be beaten out by like an anti-air. You could just like jump up and throw out an air or an up tilt or a forward air or back air or something like that. Just hit me before I land. And there's not much that I could really do about that. And that's the beauty of positioning. You put yourself in a place where you can cover your opponent's options relatively well, and you force me to take a decision that will put me in maybe a slightly safer spot. And through that, you can defeat my expectations and maybe even kill me earlier for it. So for example, if I'm over here and you're positioning yourself in a position to catch my landing, I can double jump in order to escape. But if I double jump in order to escape, then you generally know that I'm trying to escape. And in me trying to escape, you can catch me as I'm trying to escape and hit me when I have no jump. So instead of hitting me when I'm about to land on you over here, you would hit me when I'm trying to grab the ledge.
Aha. Okay.
And that would be a golden opportunity for you. Because if you can get me off stage when I don't have a jump, I'm dead. Doesn't matter what percent I'm at if you knock me far enough away.
Right. Okay. That makes sense. That makes perfect sense. So it wouldn't necessarily be I'm trying to catch you at the point where you start the jump. I'm trying to catch you once you're trying to exercise the limited options that you have after your second jump, correct?
Yes. You would be trying to intercept my next option. You would be trying to hit where I'm going to be rather than where I am. And the beauty of positioning is putting yourself, or proper positioning, is putting yourself in a spot where it doesn't matter where I'm going to be. You can cover it.
Yes, that's what I would like to do. That is kind of the name of the game.
That's how you play video games. So, generally, you want to be in a spot where it doesn't matter what your opponent can do, you can hit them with anything. So let's say, for example, very common exchange, you grab me and you go for standard icon combo.
Okay. If I can grab you.
Come on, that's a true combo. You can forward air me there.
Mm.
You can do a rising forward air. At least I'm pretty sure that's a true combo. Down throw to forward air.
I think your percent is too high.
Well, we could try it. I mean, as Shulk, that hits me up to like 90%, unless I DI hard in. But all right, let's get the percent lower then.
Okay.
I mean, at that point, you gotta take your guaranteed lumps, man.
Yeah, at that.
Like, go for. I'm saying, like, go for the down throw forward air. Right there, the forward smash. The issue is that you gave up what you could do afterwards for a hard read. That, considering the way I'm playing, I don't want to be near you. I'm trying to get away from you. So try that one more time. Which, by the way, here's what I'm noticing.
What?
When you're doing the down throw forward air, I'm seeing you do like delayed forward air. But you can buffer that on the way up. Like just press the jump button and press jump button and forward air at the exact same time. And it'll connect.
Yeah, let's try it again.
Try the lower percent.
Lower percent. Okay.
There you go.
Connects.
All right, so let's do that one more time. So at this point, I'm going to be trying to get away from you.
Right.
And I'm going to be trying to go for ledge. So at that point, when I double jump to get away from you, that's your golden opportunity. Even if you can't directly follow up off of that down throw forward air, you could put me in a position. No, you could put yourself in a position where you could catch me on my next option and potentially secure the kill.
Okay.
So, for example, as Shulk, one thing that I might do is let's say I go for an up throw from center stage, and I'm in jump art. My opponent jumps away because he knows that Shulk can't true combo at like 20%, at that low percent. There's nothing that really Shulk can do from that position. But I'm specifically looking for the double jump. And then on reaction to the jump, as the person is falling, I do a rising forward air into a falling forward air, into a rising forward air, into a falling forward, and I carried them across the stage into the blast zone. And pretty much killed them because they don't have a jump anymore.
Huh. Rising forward into a falling forward.
And then I land. Like, fair. I could double jump fair, or I could like land on the ground and then jump fair again. And maybe it's not a true combo, but if they try to escape, like they might get smacked. Even if they air dodge in that position, they might get smacked because they have to air dodge again.
Right.
That's the beauty of it. Like you're trapping so many things that they could do. And even if you can't get a true follow up off of that down throw forward air, you can abuse your position so that the next thing they do can get punished by you.
Right. I have to do a better job of studying what those follow-ups would be, because that's definitely not something that I can do. I cannot do a rising forward air and then a quickly falling.
No, obviously that's not an Ike thing.
Right.
I'm using that as an example of Shulk. I'm saying essentially that even though I can't get a true combo out of up throw, I'm not trying to get a true combo out of up throw. I'm trying to hit them in their next option when they're vulnerable. And what I'm telling you is to make your opponent vulnerable and then punish them when they're trying to escape.
Okay.
Not necessarily with a follow-up, but with catching their landings, making a low risk read when their options are limited. Yo, uneven pictures with the 5 bits. Thanks a lot. Who's hyped for Ultimate? We're all very hyped for Ultimate. Let me tell you, man. Soon. Very soon. But yeah, like that. You just got 52%. And I mean, I wasn't looking at the screen, but no Johns. Let's do that one more time.
Okay.
So I'm going to jump away, and then right here, you got the forward air, and my options were limited in that position. Even if you weren't able to trap me, you got a decent chunk of percent. That was two
That's
more
true.
forward airs than you were supposed to get. So let's do that one more time.
All right.
You don't have to kill yourself. You're at 0.
Oh. Okay. Okay. Wow. As if.
Take your time. You just took my jump, and honestly, I killed myself there. But you were good until you went off stage.
The greed.
And it's the thing is, you gotta respect what your opponent's next options are, because once you realize your opponent lost their jump, like you go for the down throw forward air and then you snipe their jump somehow. At that point, their only defensive option is an air dodge. So if their only option is an air dodge, then you can read the air dodge. It's something that like some people call the guaranteed air dodge. So one thing that I like to do is I'll carry someone off stage with let's say Shulk nair to forward air.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, if they jump or if they attack, they're dead. They just die to another forward air. But if they air dodge, then if I do another forward air, which is like the expected option, then they live.
Sure.
So at that point, I just do nair forward air, wait, forward air. And that's where you can get a lot of mileage off of those air dodge reads. If you know that your opponent has only the option to air dodge or do nothing, then instead of just trying to smack them, just read the air dodge.
Right.
Especially if they have no jump because they're dead.
So in my case, what do you think would be that kind of like? They say that Ike can really read air the up air because it lasts for so long and it covers such a wide area. But I just always have such a hard time making that happen.
I feel like it's because you don't scare the person into air dodging. And when you do scare the person into air dodging, you act a little too soon. So for example, especially like your favorite game is PM. Your favorite Smash game is PM. Yep. And in Melee and PM, you have your air dodges being a very a tool you definitely don't want to use much in the air. It's like it's a in the moment switch of momentum more so than the iframes. So when your opponent is landing, they have these iframes available to them, and it's relatively safe in 4 compared to in Melee. So you coming from that environment, I feel you 100% on why you're not so good at covering those air dodges. You generally just go for the immediate hit because it's not likely that you're going to pick an option that's going to escape besides a double jump. And if they double jump, then you can just fast fall and then jump and do it again. You haven't been trained for this.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
So generally, what the ideal solution there, what I generally do there, or what I did there when I was learning, because I came from PM as well. I learned the timing of air dodges. Like, just learn how long it lasts. And how long they were vulnerable. So it's about, most air dodges, they last for, let's say, a third of a second or a little more than that. And then they're vulnerable for about less than a sixth of a second. Let's say it's about a sixth of a second. So 10 frames, vulnerability, 20 frames, active time. Generally, not like this is a huge simplification because every air dodge is different, but generally falls into that category. And once you know that timing, you can delay your attack and cover it exactly like that. Like you can put yourself in a position where the opponent will have to air dodge, and then you press nothing. Like, for example, when your opponent's falling, you could just jump. And then your opponent, being scared of your jump, will air dodge. And at that point, if you have fast enough frame data, you could just react to the air dodge. And if not, then you can just, delay your attack slightly and just throw it out, especially if your attack isn't risky.
Right. Yep, that's definitely I can do. The art of kind of delaying attacks to create additional strategy is like one of my favorite things about this game, because just when you think you've figured everything out, there's just a little delay like that can add so much mileage to a character that you never thought actually could make anything happen. Just like that one. It took how long did it take for people to realize that actually Mario's forward air was a very good option for covering air dodges,
Yeah, no, it's like a lot of people didn't realize that, because you see in Melee and everyone thinks like Mario's forward air is bad. Doc's forward air is better because it's a combo tool. Mario can't really combo into a spike, so it's a bad option. And it was a bad option in Melee. But in this game, it's fantastic.
In this game, sex cake lasts forever from Mario. like literally.
You're not wrong.
And what is the correct DI for Mario's up air combo?
Well, it's more about SDI, to be honest.
And
it depends on where you want to go, because you're not escaping it with DI. It just depends on where you want Mario to send you. SDI would allow you to position yourself at the lower percent. So, for example, right here, when I get this grab at low percent, if you fall into this right here, you're not gonna have a good time. But there's
just nowhere to get out.
You can get out though.
How?
SDI. What you want to do is you want to SDI up and reset your percent. So we're back at low.
Oh, sure.
What you want to do is you want to SDI, I believe, like look at where Mario's attack sends you first. Just watch. It sends you up and into Mario, and then Mario pushes you back. So what you want to do is you want to SDI along with the attack, up and in.
Up and in. Okay.
Towards Mario's head, and then
towards Mario's.
And then once you start SDIing in that direction, it's going to be a lot easier for you to just jump out or the footstool off of Mario and get out.
Okay. I'm doing it, and it's not really.
I'm not seeing the SDI.
Are you accusing me of lying?
Well, I can tell you, double stick SDI doesn't exist in this game. It's just a matter of you wiggle your control stick from one notch, between 3 notches, with the middle notch being the direction you want to go.
Okay.
And just do it as fast as possible.
Okay, let's do it one more time.
Okay, try instead try doing it up and away.
Up and away.
Just to experiment. Just to experiment. Or even just straight up.
All right,
it's already pulling you in. Okay, not quite working out.
Nah.
Let's try. Honestly, try down and hold shield.
Try down and hold shield? Okay.
There you go. There's an option.
Hey, that is an option. Huh. So try it again.
At this point, up might be more effective. So at lower percent, it looks like I can just SC out of the ground.
Got it. Okay. That is helpful to know, because there's characters with those A combos.
Essentially, Mario, I think Ike is a little bit more vulnerable than most characters to that, but like you have no business getting caught in just raw up tilts. You got to make Mario work for it. Like Mario can do those up tilts into something else. I'm not saying it's like you should be able to escape every single time, but if Mario's just getting you with raw up tilts, then you're dying. Like it's just you're letting him get damage for free.
Now you see what you just did right. I could have punished you if I was a smarter person.
Yeah, no, there's always better ways that you could potentially do something, but we're just on autopilot right
But
now
like
because we're talking.
it goes back before about making sure that when you only have to jump, that
Yes.
I'm there to punish that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're pretty much out of time, by the way. So let's go ahead and do one last spar.
Okay. Could we just do a standard match with you picking Shulk?
Sounds good.
Okay, let's do that.
Was there any final thing that you wanted to ask about, by the way?
Really, I think you pointed out a lot of spots, which I really appreciate. Thank you very much. And it's just now a matter of time of practicing and working on them, because I'm obviously not going to get it as soon as I hear it, right?
Yeah, of course.
It takes a little bit more time.
Pretty soon I will be uploading the lesson to. I have to upload all the other lessons first. I'm going to be uploading the lesson to YouTube, and you'll be able to review that. And I'm also going to, once I find some time, because honestly, work has been bothering me lately. I have 4 sets of notes to finish, and yours is. I'm going to send you. Well, you already have the link, but I'm going to try to finish the notes whenever I can.
Okay.
Let's play on not Smashville so we don't listen to that music again.
Sounds like a plan. Let's do that.
By the way, for those of you watching right now, there will be another lesson that will be starting at 8 o'clock, 8 o'clock Eastern time. It's going to be, I believe, in about... hold on a second. Let me double check this.
Okay. Take your time.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, it's going to be in about 2 hours and 20 minutes. All right, let's go. Video game. Another lesson in 2 hours and 20 minutes, so stay tuned to that.
Okay.
That's the air dodge reads in action.
Yes, got that.
I tried so hard.
Oh my god. That's exactly what you told me not to do.
I mean, at that point, you had no options left. Like, you did exactly what I thought you were going to do. I was just bad. But you right.
Damn. Well, that was it.
Let's do another one. That was a little short.
So, does Shulk have a true hoo-ha, or am I just a very heavy character and you're able to do it very easily?
No, it's a 50-50.
It's a 50-50.
You can either jump or you can air dodge.
Okay. Yeah, well, he's not jumping and he's not air dodging. And I'm pressing those buttons really hard.
Well, if you press both at the same time, well, you have to press. The thing is, you have to buffer it. If you don't buffer the jump or the air dodge, then neither will come out. If you jump and I do it immediately, then you die. Okay. If you air dodge and I delay it, then you die.
Okay.
But I mean,
got it.
If the opposite happens, then you live.
Got it. Okay. him. How did you not get grabbed?
It's a shulk technique. Essentially, it's the equivalent of an L cancel with iframes.
Okay. It's an equivalent of an L cancel with iframes? I've never...
Yeah.
What is it? What is that?
So essentially,
Uh-huh.
when Shulk activates his Monado arts and he strikes the funky pose,
Uh-huh.
he cancels any landing lag that he's in, and he gains 14 frames of intangibility.
What? That is so ridiculous. Oh my god.
He can act out of that intangibility on frame 6, and the instant he acts out of it, it goes away. But if he stands still, it stays. So what I do is I just let it play out so I get the iframes.
Right. Well, of course, because that's the greatest bait and switch of all time.
Yeah.
You look like you're available to be grabbed, but you're not. And then as soon as a person goes for the grab, then
Shulk dabs on you and you die. Yeah.
Yeah. That's exactly what that is. Okay. Well, nothing I can do about that other than know that that's coming, right?
Pretty much. It's it's a great bait, and that's matchup knowledge. But it's this is part of the reason that I love Shulk. He's got the silly things like that.
Yeah, that's true. Very true. How are you feeling to switch up the Monado Ultimate? Because now it's not an order of B, it's like some kind of a little menu that pops up.
It's both, actually.
Oh, is it both? Oh, okay.
If I hold the B button, then I get the rotary dial. And if I just press the B button, then it's like Smash 4. But it's faster. It's instead of being 3/4 of a second, it's now half a second for it to activate after I press B. So that's actually super nice. It's gonna throw off my timing because, like, honestly, every single time, imagine this every time you L canceled, you had to press L 3/4 of a second before you landed.
Yes.
That's what I'm doing. I have to see the future in order to do that. So I deserve it, kind of. And you have to think about that one.
I see. Yes. Okay.
In Ultimate, I could do the same thing. That technique is staying in Ultimate, but now instead of 3/4 of a second, I have to press it half a second before.
Right. Got it.
And it's going to be it's going to take some getting used to. But it's going to be better.
Of course, the timing is going to be a little bit, but then with practice, it'll become your new muscle memory, and then you'll be doing it no problem, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So
the issue though, is what I'm actually worried about in Ultimate. They buff Shulk overall except for one massive nerf.
Okay.
They not like 100%, but essentially they cut the active time on all of his Monado arts and doubled the cooldown on all of his Monado arts.
What? But double the cooldown, and they half the amount of time that you're actually in it.
Yes.
So it's debatable whether or not the fact that you can select them more quickly is actually a buff.
No, like everything about it is a buff. Everything about that is a buff, but the arts themselves were massively nerfed.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, like what it looks like right now, I'll tell you this much. If Shulk did not receive that cooldown and activation time buff, he would have been top tier.
Yeah.
Hands down, he would have been top tier. But because his arts got massively nerfed, I think the best he's going to be is high tier.
Okay.
Because even though he's going to be insanely powerful when he's actually in an art, he's only going to be in that art for like 8 seconds. And some of those arts he absolutely needs to survive in certain matchups. And then he has to wait 20 seconds after it's down. And if he tries cycling between two different arts, then there's going to be like a massive window of time where he has nothing.
Okay.
So he's going to have to rely on using his vanilla strengths, and his vanilla strengths are lackluster.
Got it.
So
Now, how often say you switch an art right now? Is it
whenever
like
I need to.
every single time the situation changes, you switch? It's not like you stay in one art for the duration of a stock, for example.
I definitely do not.
Okay.
Generally, what I do right now is every time the situation changes, I switch arts. Every time I need to cancel my landing lag, I switch arts.
Okay.
And every single time I need to like, sometimes I will stay in an art for a duration for like its entire duration, but then I'll swap to another style. Like for example, let's say I'm playing neutral, I'll generally swap between speed and buster. Let's say I am trying to recover, I'll generally swap between jump and speed. Let's say I'm trying to survive, I'll generally swap between honestly 4 different arts depending on the situation, depending on the opponent, but it's generally going to be like jump and shield, or sometimes buster if the opponent is using a lot of shields, or sometimes speed if the opponent is jumping a lot.
Got it. Okay.
Just things like that. In this game, in Ultimate, I'm going to have to be a lot more choosy about when I use my arts. I can't just use them whenever I want. I have to save them for the right moment, which is kind of tragic because I love Shulk and jump art. It's the reason I picked Shulk, and he only gets it for like 8 seconds.
Yeah.
And then it's gone for 20.
Oh, so wow, so before it was only 10 seconds?
No. Yeah, before the cooldown was 10 seconds, and he had it for 16.
20 seconds. Holy shit. Oh my god. Yeah, he's a different character, basically. And is his non-Monado arts self improved? Is he faster? Does he jump higher?
He's generally the same speed, but his attacks have changed. His attacks are better overall, except for his back air, which was nerfed.
Okay, got it.
Well, retooled, I guess. It was buffed and nerfed.
What is it? It's faster to come out, but it's weaker or something like that?
No. They removed the massive front hitbox on the attack, so it only hits behind him. And they changed the that was the main nerf, to be honest. Right. But so essentially they lowered the range. It used to be huge in the back and large in the front. Now it's just huge in the back. Nothing in the front.
Got it.
So he lost some coverage. Apparently it doesn't linger as long anymore, so it lost some utility in that respect. And in return, they straightened the angle so that it can hit low opponents better. And they made it so it can auto cancel.
Got it. Okay.
So yeah.
Well,
retooled.
We're looking forward to it, man, and I'm sure we'll be playing again when Ultimate comes out. Now you have another lesson coming up, so I'll let you get going.
Yeah, I mean the lesson's not for another 2 hours. I'm gonna go ahead and stop the stream until then. But
okay.
Yeah, just need to take care of some stuff. I also I gotta practice something for that lesson, because not only did he request a lesson, but he requested a brief viola performance along with the lesson. So I gotta pull that out and play some music. But
sounds very romantic, Orlando. I hope that you also make sure to bring some prosecco and maybe some Italian pasta. And then the entire evening will be complete.
Perfect. All right. Well, it's been a pleasure, man. Hopefully the lesson helped you out. If there's any lingering questions afterwards, I'm gonna try to send you the notes and the video once it's uploaded. But in the meantime, you can always check the VOD. It's gonna be up for 2 weeks here on the Twitch. And if there's any questions that are lingering afterwards, you just feel free to ask me, and I can hopefully pitch you up.
Sounds like a plan. And I cannot thank you enough. I know this is one of your many livelihoods, but this is really, really something. And, obviously getting to spend the time talking to you about these things is never boring. So I really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure, man.
And we'll talk soon. Okay.
For sure. Take care of yourself, man.
All right.
Thanks for coming
Have a good
by.
one. Thank you. Bye bye.